When he turned 16 and got his license, we allowed him to use an old car from a relative. At that time, my son had around $5,000 in savings. We made him a promise saying that we'd match whatever he ended up with at graduation. Reasonably, we thought he'd maybe double that to $10,000 through jobs and we'd match for a reasonable $20,000 car. He now has $35,000 to use for a car. He said he did have a little over $10,000 but that he bought smart stock options in April. And now we'll have around $35,000 after tax. Personally, I don't think he did anything besides get stupid lucky. He is insisting that we follow through with our promise and match that. Financially, it's not a huge dent for us since he also surprised us with a nice merit scholarship that he did earn. Amortizes in that we really don't want to break the promise we made to him. But we also strongly believe that an 18-year-old driving around in a $70,000 car is a very bad idea. He can't even take it to school until his sophomore year, and the insurance on that will be a nightmare. What I am asking is, would the better course of action be to break the promise, and likely face resentment, or keep it and cough up the money? Thanks in advance for the advice. Edit talked about it with my wife. We are considering a couple of avenues, ATM, including trust or maybe fixed income until it can be used for med school. My son uses Reddit and considering that this is on our all now. I'm just waiting for him to see it and burst into my home office room. Edit 2. He's super duper close with his girlfriend. I told her, and she said she'd talk him out of it. Personally, I totally understand where my son is coming from. I wanted a car like that at that age too, and my parents did end up indulging just a little bit, but now I can see how it was a waste of money. I only used it for 2 years. I'll make an update post in a few days about what happens. Having saved up $35,000 at 18, with the possibility of that being $70,000, and having a full ride scholarship, puts him in a better financial position than probably 99.9% of his peers. I would try and talk through that with him, but I guess an 18-year-old who wants to buy a $70,000 car has different priorities than that. Personally, a $70,000 car is a lot for an 18-year-old. I'd match the $10,000 and put the $15,000 towards a house deposit for him. You honor the money match, but don't put so much to a car, which will depreciate and lose value. The tough bit would be the sell. 2 paths forward. IMO. Match what he earned from his job, not what he earned from external sources. This seems to be the spirit of what you intended and doesn't reward him for what you consider getting lucky in the markets. Not saying you're wrong. I'd just let him know that you only intended to match his job earnings, and you're sorry that it was miscommunicated. Match the $10K towards a car and the remaining to $5K in a separate growth account. Reward his investment with another investment. This way you follow through completely but don't have to worry about him buying a $70K car. I'm a big believer in keeping your word to your kids, but in my view, enabling a decision that is financially irresponsible and potentially deadly is by far worse. Parental sin. I also don't like that he obviously thought he was going to get one over on you. Like you'd just magically conjure up an extra $25,000. Give him the $10,000 and offer to help with insurance if you're feeling generous. That was very nice of you, lol. I told my kids I'd match them up to $2,000. $4,000 is plenty for a teenager's first car. IMO. They can save up more if they want to though. Maybe tell him you'll match $10,000 and you'll match the rest later for a new house or college. Honor student, parents who don't find a $35,000 a big dent. The resolution to this is easy. We need to have a conversation about compound interest, the power of saving money, and the differences between assets like stocks, which he is obviously familiar with, and liabilities like cars. It will click. He may not like it, but he will certainly understand, and may thank you later. Perhaps you could make a compromise. Contribute $1,000 towards a car and $5,000 per year to a Roth IRA in his name for the next few years too. Really drive home the point. Good luck. Discuss with him his views on putting some aside for property, etc. And costs are his responsibility. And accept that this will be a big life lesson for him in some way. He will either look back at how he lost tens of thousands in depreciation, lesson learned, or he may always look back at how he had the coolest car at school and fondly remember that as one of the top moments of his youth. I agree with the other posters. Give him $10,000 towards the car, which is still a ridiculously expensive car for a college student. My college car was a POS, and tell him the rest will be for when he's ready to buy a house. He may be pissed now, but hold firm and he will be so grateful later. If you don't honor your word, you're going to have to be very careful in convincing him. This sounds like it could easily become a situation where he never trusts either of you again. Your son might be a genius. Lol. Rit scholarship. Obviously the car isn't the wisest investment, but to me it sounds like he has what it takes to be extremely successful in life and the drive to get the things he wants in life. Red having an adult-to-adult conversation with him as equals about the money now that it has exceeded your expectations. He's entering adulthood. Maybe it's time to begin seeing him in that light. If he's as smart as he sounds, he may surprise you. Do not outright break the promise if you're capable of keeping it though. A $70,000 car for an 18-year-old. He has a greater chance of getting into an accident and then the money is gone. Save the money for a down payment on a house or college. Be the grown-up here. I'm 30 and never had a car that was over 4k euros. Not because I couldn't afford one, just because it always felt like a bad financial decision to me. 2 of my daily drivers I've bought for several $100 and I'm maintaining them myself. Nowadays, they work just fine and keep going and going. Now let me ask you this: why does your son feel the need to invest in a car that will lose 60 of the value in the first week instead of putting that money towards buying a house? I want to know how Pegged stupid lucky. Just be honest with him about the car. Sit down and talk about practicality and insurance. Don't go back on your word, but maybe give him some financial advice by your post. Doesn't seem like he needs it. Smart kids who saved, invested and gotten a scholarship. But maybe talk to him about buying a property or investing some more, buying a cheaper car and putting the rest of the money elsewhere. Maybe tell him whatever he saves by the one he graduated you'll match half of to put toward a house. All that he can spend as wisely or as foolishly as he sees fit, or part match now, which will still buy him a very nice car, and the rest in savings for an eventual down payment on a house or condo. Then he gets to live with the consequences of his choice. Buy him a car for 35,000. That's a lot of car. A deal is a deal. Maybe you can convince him to accept a 28k ride, but needs to keep his 35k working, invested. As long as he keeps his cash working, he has a free car. Take him to a professional financial advisor and have that person lay out the facts to him about what $35,000 or $50,000 could be in 20 years. You should absolutely follow through on your word and match that money, but you should also absolutely steer him towards a more responsible choice. Try and get him to buy a $20,000 car that's a nice used car and put $50,000 into a stable investment portfolio. He could retire at 40 if he lives modestly. But I think, in the end, if he wants a $70,000 car, you owe him a $70,000 car. If $30,000 isn't a huge dent for you, give him the money. Let him pay for the insurance on whatever he gets. If you have the money, let your son enjoy it. I don't know many 18-year-olds who could save up that much money, but I assume you're all privileged. Good for him. Accomplishment, and have a frank discussion about how the car is a depreciating asset and won't make him more money, like further investing, education, and maybe even founding a small business would. If you can swing it, offer the matching money as promised, but advise him that the car is really putting all of that money in one basket and not in a productive way. T's going to have to be his choice, but I really hope that if he accomplished all that savings, he's already smart enough to know that there are greater things to do with most of that money. Ask if he spends all $70,000 on a car, what is he going to use to pay insurance, which would be high for a male teen, whatever the vehicle. Car tax, car gas, petrol, diesel. One-off repairs not covered by insurance. People with a car could probably add to the list. You said you would match what he saved. He didn't save that money. He risked his actual savings, and it happened to work out. Now he's trying to pull a fast one by doubling his money and taking a chunk of your savings. I'd give him the 10k, and if he wants a 70k car, I'm sure he can use his investing skills. Offer double with a different stipulation. He buys a 35,000, you'll pay the insurance and put $70,000 into a CD for him if you can swing it as a reward for both the scholarship and having saved so much. Just make it clear he's done impressive stuff and should be rewarded. If you don't want that to go to a car, incentivize his success with alternatives. Squelching is a super sick move, all things considered. Alternative: tell him to save $44,000, then double that for a Tesla self-driving car. I is a safer driver than a teen. You can teach your child that people with more power always lie, that parents make empty promises. They underestimate you. Or you can hold to your earlier agreement. Maybe think about if a business made a promise to you and you did better than they thought you would, and retracted the offer. How much would you be screaming in illegal advice? Advise him to get a cheaper car and take the cash to save, invest. But if you can afford it and don't give it, you are teaching lessons you don't mean to. That's not a huge dent for you. I'd say keep the promise of matching his money. But with the stipulation he continues to save his 35K and you use your 35K to go with him too. Purchase a vehicle with that. That would keep the promise, but not have him blowing the whole wad on a vehicle.